The Buffalo Sabres return to what worked for them last year. More on that and other things coming up. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sabres Edge podcast. And happy holidays or Merry Christmas, depending on if you celebrate. Timmy, how's your holiday season been?
It's been good. Mine's been quiet. I stayed up here in Portland, Maine, so most of my family's down in Buffalo. So kind of just celebrated with a Christmas hike with my dog. So nothing too crazy. How was yours?
First of all, that sounds lovely. Mine was pretty good. It almost was perfect. I got to see my family, got some gifts. I'm actually using one of them right now as we were talking about. I got a nice little arm for my mic, so that's nice. Got some fun things. I got a D&D grid so that you can like have a little board game or a board for the game. Like that's cool and fun.
Okay.
But most importantly, getting to spend time with my family. The only thing that did go wrong is I got back to my apartment and I got a text maybe like 3 hours afterwards that was like, hey, just so you guys know, your sister has COVID and had COVID. And I'm like, oh, that's unfortunate, but here we are. Whatever, I'm alone in my apartment right now because all of my roommates are back hanging out with their families. So I'm like, whatever. I guess I'm alone up here anyway. But not fun. I'm gonna be monitoring the situation and hoping I don't also end up with COVID. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost kind of like a perfect time to have COVID in quarantine, just because it's nice and quiet, and then kind of get to enjoy the peacefulness. You got done with college or your first semester here this year, so kind of get to enjoy this right now. So you got some Sabres hockey coming up tomorrow, so that's always
very exciting. But anyway, I'd like to also say, before we really get into the Sabres stuff, thank you to everyone who supported during our fundraiser. I'm sure Cardell and his family are very happy that you guys showed up, showed love, and it was a great live stream that we had on the 22nd. We talked about Christmas memories. We made a final push for the fundraising. Santa was there. All around great time. So just a thank you to everyone who participated, a thank you to everyone who gave. And as you saw from our intro, that fundraiser is done, so we are back to the regularly scheduled programming.
Yep. I guess I want to just do a quick shout out to also Galaga Boy or Tom S. That's usually in our chats right now. He's a big helping hand with part of the channel as well. So I just want to thank him for everything that he did. I know him and Mike, they're a great team together. So appreciate all your help too with getting this fundraiser and letting us hit our goal this year. So appreciate everyone's help, even the fans here. So thank you.
Yep. But anyway, we had 2 games this week. The first one, after our 9-4 loss against the Jackets that we streamed on Tuesday, we come back and we win 9-3 against the the Maple Leafs at home. That was a very exciting game. It, flipped the script on that terrible game we played before on that Tuesday. It was the first time in Sabres history that we lost a game by 9 and then won a game by 9. Or won a game with 9 goals. And the last time that happened in the NHL, I think, was with the Red Wings, and their win was also against the Maple Leafs. So the Maple Leafs like being a part of that statistic.
Yeah.
Anything that stood out to you during this game?
Well, first of all, I kind of predicted that the Sabres were going to make me look like an ass after that last show, after facing the
Hey,
Maple Leafs.
we take that though, especially in that fashion
Yeah.
against the Maple Leafs. Like I'll never be upset about them winning against the
That
Maple.
was just such an easy prediction. We both said like they're going to come back and then they're going to just blow out the doors against the Maple Leafs, and that rant that I had is just going to look ridiculous. I still stand by that rant either
Oh yeah,
way. But no, I think the biggest thing that stood out to me, and like you mentioned, was what we were looking for this week was just compete, look like you care,
yeah.
and they looked like they cared, especially that game. And I know it's something that we're going to talk about later, but they definitely changed their playing style too.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit less defense, a little bit more offense. And is it? Do you think it's a little bit too late for that, Sam?
I'm conflicted because at the end of the year last year, there was a lot of discourse about, okay, so if we make the playoffs, like this team doesn't play a playoff style of hockey. That was a conversation. People were looking at like I think they were drawing comparisons to like us and the Kings, two teams that were maybe like lower on the totem pole of making the playoffs. Like
Yep.
we were maybe going to make it, and they, I think, were either like wild cards or like the third in their division. But there was a general consensus that like if both teams had made it, or at least on some Saber circles, that like the Sabres don't have a playoff style of hockey, whereas like the Kings, even though they're like maybe kind of on the same level as us during the regular season, are much better like defensively and have that playoff style hockey that'll take you further. So we go out and we try and learn how to play defense. And what do we know? It hinders our offense. Now this week we see them play more offense, and I'm like, if we like try and play a playoff style hockey and it stops us from getting into the playoffs, what's the point anyway? So at this point, I'm like, you know what? I'm all for the transition back to just run and gun. You have the skill, just do it. But I'm not sure if it's enough. Like you're saying, like it feels like it's a little too late. We've dug ourselves into a hole, and unless we can roar out of it with just stringing together so many wins, which we haven't done. Obviously, we've only been playing the style for 2 games this season. But we'll see, right? Like I don't think that it's enough at this point. I, though, am not down or too upset about that because even when we're losing, it's more fun to watch this style of hockey. I would rather lose 6-5 any day over like a 2-1 loss.
Yeah.
So whatever, it's more fun. Is it too late? Probably. We're at like a 480 points percentage, and we're almost 35 games in. We might be 35 games in. Yeah, it might be a little too late. Unless we can really just blow off any expectations that anyone had for the second half of the season for us. But yeah, I don't know. I think this week has like cooled me off a little bit because I thought especially against the Maple Leafs and the Rangers, I thought I'd be coming in here and just be like, I'm angry. This is terrible. And now I'm kind of at the like acceptance stage of grief where like, yeah, we're probably not making the playoffs, but like it was a fun week. I enjoyed it. I had fun.
Yeah.
That's all you can ask for. That's what this team is here to do, you know. Make me happy. Give me a fun Leafs game before Christmas. And that's what they did.
Yeah. Though that was my exact shower thoughts for today. After I was just kind of like you said, first at the end of last year, you said we had to commit to defense. Then you start playing defense, and then you let go of the offense, and then now that plan didn't work out. So now we're going back to the offense, and that didn't help us win. I mean, it helped us win last year, but like you mentioned,
it didn't make it to the playoffs, right? But
yeah, it didn't make it to the playoffs.
It was more successful than us playing defense, but
yeah. And I was thinking to myself, and I've said it last show, this team's not a playoff team.
No.
It's not going to make the playoffs this year. There's no chance. I mean, I think they have to have almost a 95% win percentage for the rest of the season, just even considered into the playoffs. I think it's pretty high.
No, you can get by with like if you get by with 650, you're good.
Okay.
65%. Like that
Really?
definitely. I'm pretty sure that would make the playoffs. You'd end with roughly like that should make the playoffs at least. You'd end, I want to say, with like 96 points.
Okay.
With
I don't
like
even.
65%.
I'll be totally honest with you. I've just lost track of the points that the team currently has and how much.
Hey, you know what? It makes sense. I don't think that too many people are looking at this team and being
No.
like, yeah, it's important that we keep track of like all the points and the point percentage things because it's just been bad. Like this year, it's not
That was
been something worth looking at. But
Yeah.
we're actually, I think, only 3 games below NHL 500. Yeah, we're 14, 17, and 4. You win 3 games, you're at 500 again.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not the worst. And if you win those 3 games before you hit 42, that's, before the halfway point.
Either way, the team hasn't shown that it can win at this rate either.
They haven't shown they can win 2 games in a row.
Exactly.
They did that once this year, maybe twice.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But yeah, Bills fan just says New Year's resolution is to get a 3-game winning streak. That's hopeful of you. That's quite hopeful. And also, by the way, hello and happy holidays, Tom.
Appreciate you guys watching.
We greatly appreciated.
Yeah. So, I mean, after the Columbus game, you saw the team dejected. They didn't have answers. No one had answers. And it's been a common theme with this team where they just didn't have answers. They don't know what was going on. And essentially, they've lost all confidence. And if returning back to this offensive style of play for maybe the rest of the season is going to help keep this confidence and roll into next season for these players, that's great. I mean, I'm fine with that because the last thing that we need is players to get burned out and say, try to get themselves out of town after this, especially the likes of Darlene Thompson. Even though they signed long contracts, probably not going anywhere, but we also saw Jack Eichel leave. So so that's totally plausible. So I'm fine with the team generating offense. And if it's going to help them get to a 3-game winning streak, I'm totally fine with that at this point. But like we mentioned, not a playoff team. The style of hockey, I still don't believe will help you be successful in the playoffs. So then my question goes to, and this is obviously going to be towards the end of the season, what is their plan for next season? And that's something that's going to have to be answered later on. And obviously that's in my head right now, but who knows?
Right. The thing is, like with the whole debate that we had last week about like the Fire Granado debate, at some point these guys will have to learn defense if they want to be successful in a playoff race. So I don't even blame him for trying to do it this year, but it clearly wasn't the right time because we go back to a style that these guys were familiar with from last year. And immediately, like these 2 games, even though we didn't beat the Rangers, we were competitive, very competitive with the, at the time, best team in the league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's like nothing to be ashamed about in a loss there, especially where you get a point. This is also a team like we have 3 of the 4 possible points from this week. And it's in a stretch where you're facing the Maple Leafs, the Rangers, and then we've got the Bruins up tomorrow, right? Like during that stretch, if you had given me those 3 games at this point in the season with how we've been doing, I would have been like, it's okay if we get 2 points. Like that's fine. It's okay to get 2 points. We're at 3 and we haven't even played the last game yet. Like even if this stretch goes neutral, if you go 3 out of 6 points, like you're still probably ahead of where people thought you'd be with how good the teams in front of you are during this stretch. Like this is for the time being bringing us success by like choosing to omit defense and just play a more run and gun style. And well, it's easy for us as fans to say like, that's obviously been the like choice that you should have been making this whole time, Don. for sustained success in a playoff environment, Don might have been on to the right idea. Like, these guys will have to learn defense. So I'm not sure about any. It's all just so confusing. I don't know what to think about this team anymore. I know I'm happy
Yeah.
about them whooping the Leafs. That's about it. Like,
That's always a good thing, especially
yeah.
when it's a bunch of Leafs fans in your barn. So it was nice to kind of stick it to them. But yeah, it has to be confusing, and it also has to question. I mean, that still leads to questions of the coach too, because you're willing to give up this easy on on this defensive philosophy that you're trying to instill on the team. And
I mean, people were trying to fire him. Like, the fans.
well, I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was one of those guys calling the fire of the coach.
We all
But
wanted
then,
something to change, and it wasn't
yeah,
going to be a coaching change, so it was a change of
no.
coaching philosophy. So
Yeah, but then that also leads to, but is this going to be a recurring theme every single time that the Sabres have issues, where when maybe he tries to instill defense again, and then they fail again, and then we go back to offense. At some point, the players have to buy in to a winning system, and they're going to have to make sacrifices. Where this is my conversation of being, does this team have too much skill and guys who focus on their skill and their talent and not willing to go the extra mile to bring in that defensive philosophy that I'm assuming not many of these players did going in through like their rankings from juniors or college or even before that too on their travel teams, because they're probably like the star players on their teams and they never had to play defense.
yeah.
And now you come into the NHL and guess what, buddy? You got to play defense. So, like you mentioned, I'm not a coach. I don't have the answers. Was I on the boat for firing Granato? I maybe was, but like I mentioned too, firing Granato I don't think was going to do anything for this team either.
Right.
So it's just a matter of, at some point, there's a lot of things where I feel like Granato gives in to the players a lot, where it's like he keeps playing players that make a lot of mistakes, and then he's giving into the team because they're not. I mean, I guess do you think they were buying into this defensive philosophy, or because it's hard because they were playing better defense. They just weren't scoring goals.
They did play better defense, but it really did come at the cost of any offensive production. Like, it's been miserable offensively this year.
Yeah. So it's just confusing because, maybe they were buying in the defense, but now they don't know how to balance offense. So it's just like,
like, obviously
how do you do that?
You need to find some sort of middle ground with this team, right? Like, whatever the philosophy is, it needs to be somewhere. If you want to be like highly competitive in a playoff environment, it needs to be somewhere between the two things that we've seen. Like, you're not going to blow out 9-3 games like every day in a playoff series. That's not realistic. That's not what's going to happen. And especially if you play a team over and over again, like, they adapt to your tendency and your style.
Mm-hmm.
You can't expect to just light the lamp over and over and over on them. And like, we see that in the playoffs, like, it gets tougher, it gets more defensively sound. Like, you don't see, I mean, sometimes you see blowout games, but it's not just one after the other, right?
Yeah.
So to be successful, and obviously you need to be able to score at all. So it's got to find somewhere between the two ends that we've had. And honestly, even when we were playing defense, it was substantially better than actually last year. Like, our goals against numbers did improve.
Yeah.
They still weren't great.
No. But they were better.
They were better. They were better. And honestly, like, the biggest change that we made was we added an 18-year-old to the roster. So, like, the fact that they got better is kind of actually pretty good. But I don't know. I don't know. That's where this team's left me recently. Just I don't know. Can you not give me defense and offense? Is that too hard to ask? I think it also circles back very well to that conversation we had last week about Thompson. Like, does it make sense to have him on the penalty kill? He's great at it, but one, he gets shot in the hand, and two, then, like, you don't have a fresh Thompson for doing offense.
Yeah.
It's this whole balancing act of, like, he's really good at penalty kill. The numbers support it, and honestly, the eye test does too. He shuts down lanes so well, and he can, especially if he's with another like tall, lanky guy, he can make it seem like the ice isn't as open as it should be on a 5-on-4.
Yeah.
However, then he gets a puck in the hand, or like then he's just tired for, maybe another special teams like opportunity, like a power play where, hey, look, now all of a sudden he doesn't have the gas in him to like make a play or whatever. The balancing act for this year has just been terrible. Like,
Yeah.
from the player level to the team level, like if defense, then no offense. And that seems to be what we're seeing. And if offense, then no defense.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's what's the benefit of having Greenway back, just because he does have that size and can maybe take over for what Thompson was. Obviously, he's not a center.
right.
But he does bring the size, and he does play a little bit more. He's more, I wouldn't say he's more defensively committed, but I mean, his skill is more defensive than offensive, I would say. So that kind of helps out in the long run. But the problem is then you're looking at, when you're on the penalty kill, you're looking at your bottom six, and your bottom six, besides Greenway, consists of Benson. Which, do you want him playing penalty kill? Casey Middlestat, do you want
Benson
him
has played penalty kill?
He has,
and to some success, actually. He's got that tenaciousness to him,
He plays all three faces. That's the crazy part, and he's 18 years old. So
12th in the draft, by the way.
Huh?
12th in the draft, by the way. I cannot believe these teams let him slide.
Just because of his size. That's the craziest thing. But then you also have Middlestat, I mean, he's having a good all-around season this year. But his question's always going into it where penalty kill. So, I mean, do you want him consistently on the penalty kill? Probably not. And then you look at your bottom three. Okposo, old. Krebs, I mean, he's a fighter. He knows his role on this team right now. And then you have combinations of Gergensons, Yost, and who else would be another fourth line? I can't forget.
Robinson.
And then you have Olsen. That's
Olsen doesn't count.
I mean,
Olsen's a third liner who's being forced to play fourth line.
Yeah. So that's kind of where, like, I think the biggest thing that comes for the Sabres this year is you're gonna have to rebuild your bottom six going into next season, and that includes trading some of these guys that you have, because you're going to have to find guys who aren't as skilled, who are committed defensively, so that your top two lines can flourish more. It can be more not committed to defense and play more offense. I don't know. Does that make sense?
I get the idea. I'm actually super curious about like I would need one of the stats people in the hockey universe to look into this for me. But there's kind of a theory that we see more recently than in the past of the penalty kill being played by your good players, like the ones that you traditionally think as like the stars. Like in Toronto, you see like Matthews will sometimes be on the power or penalty kill, and Marner will frequently be on the penalty kill. And for us, we put Thompson out there, we put Dylan Cousins out there, and Alex Tuck out there. I think that there's a switch from like the defensively responsible guy to like maybe these like faster, more skilled guys on the penalty kill.
Yeah.
And I don't know if or how supported that is by stats, but for shoring up our penalty kill, I'm not sure that the answer is getting more defensively minded guys. Like, it might be that you just train some of these guys who are more skilled to play in this manner. And again, like, Thompson's really good at it. He really is. Yeah. And obviously maybe you don't want him playing on the penalty kill for the reason that we discussed before. But if you have 9 guys who are all really skilled, it's like you can afford to put 4 of them on the penalty kill.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I'm willing to do anything for this team just to be all around better. But it's, I mean, yeah, my mindset sometimes gets stuck in like the old school style of hockey, thinking back to, I think the biggest one was like, obviously I always harken back to the Blackhawks, but like they had like a player like Frolik who was playing on their third and fourth line, who was just an amazing penalty killer, and he had
Right.
a couple other guys too that that helped solidify that team. Now, obviously, hockey's changed since then, and there's been a lot more skilled players in there. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not the one that has answers for anything, because, like you mentioned, this team, I don't know what to even say sometimes with this team. Like, not one thing is going to change things drastically for this team, but the multiple things, I don't know what they need to do in multiple ways to fix this team,
Yeah. Again, it just seems like there's too many converging problems to really sort it out like one by one.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell at times. Anyway, hello, Alan. Let's go Sabres.
Thanks for coming over. I know Jake's over on the AFC Summit, but you want to talk about Buffalo sports. You don't want to listen to Jets fans and all those other dorks over there. Love those guys. Those are our channel members, so yeah, love those guys.
Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Did you hear any of the sound bites from the game after, or from like the locker room after the Maple Leafs game?
I didn't get a chance to listen to too much. How about?
Well, the one that I think has stood out to a lot of people is the Rasmus Dahlin saying,
I heard that one.
Basically that like they all back Donnie, and that kind of that statement win was for Donnie because they heard the like fire Donnie chants after the Columbus game. And I think that that's a lot of generally that's like pretty lip service. Like you say that when someone brings up whether or not you think that your coach should be fired. The thing that stood out, I think, to me and a lot of other people is the fact that it came up completely, like Dahlin brought that up completely unannounced. He chose to address that topic. It was the first thing he said when they like sat next to him. And it makes me feel like it's true, at least to some extent, that he feels that way. And he's genuinely upset about the fact that the fans were calling for Donnie to be fired. How do you feel about like those statements? Do you think it comes with any sort of validity? Do you think it's just kind of something that you say?
I mean, get out of here. I mean, I don't mean it in a mean way, but it's just, are you kidding me? You decide now that, we're going to play for our coach. You decide after a 9-4 trouncing against the Columbus Blue Jackets that, we're going to start playing for our coach now. That's our motivation, because the fans booed us and the fans are calling for our coach's head. And it's just like, this has been a conversation from a month and a half into the season where people are like, fans have been booing you since October, just the team in general. And now all of a sudden, the game where you just you got pounded by the Columbus Blue Jackets, you decide now this is, we're playing for our coach, and that's what's motivating you. That one thing is motivating you. I'm sorry. You play in the NHL, you shouldn't have motivation for just this one instance. You should have motivation to make the playoffs. That was your goal that you told the fans at the end of last season. And you didn't look motivated throughout the whole entire beginning of the season. And you still don't look motivated, to be totally honest with you. And that is just lip service. I mean, I'm sorry. Even after the Columbus Blue Jackets games, even Okposo comes in and he's saying, I'm not talking about Donnie, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, but then they don't give answers to why they suck. And fans are validated to be having these feelings at this point. Obviously, I don't think no one really hates Don Granato. Many people that I listen to, a lot of things that I read, and I don't personally hate Don Granato either. I think he's a great guy. I think he's done a lot for the Sabres compared to other past coaches. But then you're sitting there and your team is just underperforming severely. And there has to be some sort of change that has to be made because your team's not being motivated anymore. And a lot of people just jump to firing the coach because I don't know. There's not many other options to do. You tried the trade for a guy thing. The guy, I mean, he came on fire for the first 2 games, kind of regressed to the mean at this point. Um, so I don't know. I mean, that's great, Darlene. I mean, you decide now to stick up for your coach. That's a little too late for me as well. I mean, your motivation should have come from. There's been a few comments throughout the season where the players have made comments about the fans booing them, which it's kind of stuck like a thorn in my side because these. I think even Tuck said after one of the games, these fans pay a lot of money to come to a game. We have to perform for them. And yeah, I mean, a lot of your right now, a lot of the questions with the Sabres too, even the Pagula is selling them, is that the team might be underwater because of the fan base, or not a lot of fans going to the games. And it's been almost 7 years now where you have a half full rink. The fans dictate your team. I mean, the fans dictate the franchise at this point, and you're gonna have to. There's some you have to give validity to the fans, even if it comes to expense of some players or some coaches. I mean, I don't like that, but it happens, and the fans feel. I think the fans have a valid feeling for what they're going through right now. I don't know. Is that something that you would agree with?
I think that if you pay the money to watch that game, it's your God-given right to boo. It's your God-given right to say whatever you want because that was terrible. That's just I don't want to pay like $100 just to experience that level of pain from my team.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's wrong for a player to be like, you know what? Yeah, that like hearing them so blatantly and collectively chant like fire Donnie like lit a fire under our ass. Like I don't think it's unfair for him to say that. I don't think it invalidates his point. Like, yeah, sure, there should have been motivation the whole time, and there like still should be outside motivation that doesn't pertain to the fact that your coach is now on a hot seat because you have been playing poorly. But like I do think that I don't know. I think more that you took it in a different direction than I thought you would. But like, I think it does show that like they do still care about Donnie and that they believe that he's still at least like he hasn't lost the room yet is what that like says to me, and that there might still be a chance that it works. I'm not saying that like that should be why you hold out on not like firing him if it's right, but it doesn't seem like he's lost the room there. And even if like even with the attempt to play defense that lasted the whole season to this point, like and now abandoning that, doesn't seem like that change or doing that in the first place has made the room lose respect for him. So
yeah, and I don't think the room. I've never got any sense from the players that they've lost any sort of respect for Granato or don't want to play for him. It's just a matter of how long is this going to last? How long is this motivation going to last? Like, are you going to try to find? You can't find little pieces of motivation to try to get you through the next couple of games and then fall apart and then find something else to motivate you. This team's going to have discipline at this point. If you're going to commit to a style of play and play offense and play for your coach, you're going to have to do that, like we said, multiple games in a row. And you're going to have to do it throughout the whole entire season. So that's my only thing, is that this team hasn't shown enough to be like they're serious about what they're saying. I just, that's the one thing. I just don't take this team serious enough with like some of the things that they say just because they haven't proven it this year or even the past like 3 years. So yeah. That's just me.
Speaking of not taking the team seriously, Mike asked what the average attendance is these days, and the answer I believe is like 1550, like 15,500 maybe.
Yeah,
roughly there, which is the second lowest, with Arizona being the worst, I think.
Yeah, and that's sad because Buffalo, for like the Stanley Cup playoffs, is one of the highest ranked markets watching the teams in the NHL. So,
oh, I'm sorry. San Jose is also lower than us.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, we did it. We're better than San Jose, and then obviously, like, I don't think that Arizona really counts. They've got the college arena, so like their capacity is like 5,000 maybe.
Yeah.
And then how many points are the Sabres outside of a playoff spot right now? They are 7 points outside. It's doable. You got 50 games, 7. Like, I think the Capitals have games in hand against us, right? But games in hand only matter if you win them. But 7 points, it's not, if they can continue getting 3 out of every 4 points, that's not bad. The arena holds it was 19,000. I want to say 19,500. And also those the 15,000 that I said aren't how many people actually attend. It's the average sold tickets for the game. So sometimes it's lower than that.
I don't think it would ever be higher. I think there's a lot of season ticket holders that are not going to the games right now. So yeah, I mean, it's really a tough stretch right now for the Sabres. I mean, it's been that for a while. So, thought this was the year.
If we make the playoffs, do you think that number instantly like recovers? Do you think that we get, like, with just one playoff appearance, do you think we're back in like the good graces of the fans?
I think so. I mean, it was crazy during 2005, 2006. Literally, because at the beginning of that season, no one was going to the games. Then all of a sudden, I forgot how much of a game streak they went on. I think they almost went to 10. I think it was a 10-game win game streak. And all of a sudden, the fans just started buying in. And then after that, 2006, 2007 season where they won the President's Cup, it was impossible to get even season tickets. They were full. There was a waiting list. And that went on until like a couple years after Tyler Myers was drafted. And then after that, it fell off. So, Buffalo they have hockey fans. Buffalo is definitely a hockey
tons of
city.
hockey fans.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of it. And the biggest thing, it's the cost. I mean, it's expensive to go to these games, and people don't want,
especially with season ticket holders dropping out. Yeah. Now, if you want to go to a game, like, you're paying the actual ticket price instead of like secondhand season ticket holder prices.
Yeah. So I would be the same way too. Like, when I was living back in Buffalo, I didn't go to too many Sabres games just because of the price. It's insane. I don't want to pay that much to go see a team lose. I think I went to the one game. I went to a game where Alex I follow. I believe it was his rookie season. He came back to Buffalo when he was with the Kings to play the game, and I actually went with Jake and his dad and a couple other friends. We literally left the game halfway through the second period because the Sabres were getting blown out of that game. So, I mean, you got to put a good product on the ice, and you got to make it worthwhile for people to spend money as well.
Yeah, that all makes sense. And obviously, like, I agree that, like, if we make the playoffs, like, the fans won't not watch the playoff games. Like,
no, not at all. They'll have the party in the plaza again. There will be fans going there. Buffalo's got bandwagon fans too,
Yeah. Anyway, I think we've exhausted a conversation about the Maple Leafs game. The next game that we played was a 4-3 overtime loss to the New York Rangers. Did you have any particular thoughts about that one?
I just want to give my hats off to Eric Johnson. I mean, sticking up for Ryan Johnson after that hit, getting into a fight, and then kind of seeing that fire in him when he got the instigator penalty as well, and getting kicked out of the game. I mean, I'll be honest, I never followed Eric Johnson's career. I called him a first overall bust, which he is, but no, it's kind of good to see that, just to see that from a veteran player. And then you kind of see, even though this team's going through some rough things, they still have each other's back. So that was the biggest thing that stuck up to me. And like we both mentioned, and like you said at the end of our last show, they showed again that this team's able to compete, and they show that they do care. So it's just nice to see them playing like that, and it's also nice to see Jack Quinn back too. Scoring 2 goals.
Yeah, having Jack Quinn back is definitely a helpful thing.
Yeah,
but I think that like the they showed they cared in that game. You see it with Eric Johnson. You see it like he's losing his mind about that penalty. And you know what? He's right.
Yeah.
The players looked at each other. They like had a brief like, we're doing this, right? And then I'm pretty sure the Rangers player's glove came off first. I don't even care. Like if you're gonna like penalize them both, like fine. They both probably deserve it. I don't think you penalize either of them realistically. But to penalize only one of them, like they both agreed. They both looked, they were like, this is something we're doing. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. That was a weird call by the refs. I don't think it made sense.
The refs have been kind of low key, well, no, high key horrible for like the past like 4 or 5 years.
that one was particularly bad. It really felt like some of the ones, and I'm not normally someone to be like, it was the refs screwed us over.
Yeah.
The refs, it's not my bad team. It's the fact that the refs. But it really did feel like some of the calls like were soft for us, and then we'd see the same thing by them, and it just wasn't called. I think we only got one penalty by the end.
Yeah.
Or one power play by the end. And we squandered it because I think we got a penalty during it. But I saw I don't know if it's true, but I saw a rumor saying that like there was a conversation between Eric Johnson and the refs where the refs basically told him like, we gave you the extra minor because like you wouldn't shut the up, bad words, not trying to get the podcast monetized because we would never say bad words on stream.
No, never.
But I'm not sure that that's true, but we've seen it before in the NHL. There was I think it was maybe last year, a ref got into some trouble because he was literally like on a hot mic saying that he's gonna get a makeup call first in one of the teams.
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, they do that. Like,
oh yeah, especially when a lot of calls, especially when you have a team. I mean, you go to New York, you play in MSG, you have all New York Rangers fans. The refs are going to be influenced more by the fans,
right?
Then, and that just it's human habit. I mean, everyone knows that. That's in every sport. So, but yeah, that call was a little egregious, and
right.
Just to say you wouldn't shut up. We gave you the instigator penalty is like minor. That's kind of crazy too.
Right.
But yeah,
apparently the refs and the Sabres had been jawing at each other since before that point. But obviously we then saw Eric Johnson explode on the refs, which makes me think that maybe it was true that he got that penalty for less than reasonable reasons. But
have you ever seen that YouTube video with Skinner where Skinner's on the bench chirping somebody and the ref just turns around and says, "Shut the up."
I heard that like live when that happened.
Really?
Yeah, I remember watching the game and hearing like Jeff's high-pitched voice and laughing, and then hearing the ref actually like yell that. I was like, they really don't like Jeff. And we see it this game too, because Jeff got the 10-minute misconduct for saying bad words to the ref.
Yeah. I mean, he was going off during the Maple Leafs game too.
Yeah, he was saying Domi had no teeth, which is really that's a good one. I appreciated that. it felt unnecessary, and that's why I love it. Jeff holds a special place in my heart, even if he's not doing too well. He'll always be one of my favorite players. He
has the fire in him, so I mean, that's fine. I don't have any problems with it. I thought the funniest thing in that game was during that scrum was Benson trying to get in there. It's like watching a little Ewok go into like a bunch of like AT-ATs into the fight. Even though like Benson isn't that short, he's like 5'10", but still
he still looks super small. Like he's again like when he hits puberty, he's gonna be so good at this sport we call hockey. Like that is a small guy in a small body.
Yeah,
and God, he's gonna be so good.
Gotta hit the protein shakes this summer.
Yeah, perhaps. But he's already very good, so I mean, it can only go up from here. I guess that's what we said about Cousins too. But
don't grow too tall where your coordination leaves, because then we're either gonna have to rebuild all over again. Just maybe an inch. Just put on some muscle mass.
Yeah, I'm not even like I don't even need height because he kind of like slinks in the area as well. But some muscle, like he'll frequently get beat in battles of muscle. I think I've seen it more recently where people know how to play against him. Well, they'll just kind of show Benson their butts, and like Benson tries to get around, but it's hard. He's a small guy, right? Like he does not have the muscle to kind of support the style of play he has, but he'll get there.
Yeah,
that's something that will just come with time.
Yeah,
but
yeah. No, besides the Eric Johnson fight, I don't think really anything else stood out to me.
I think it's more from the fans than the actual game. Something that stood out for me is the hate that Luukkonen got. That let me preface it. That was a very, very bad play. Kind of all around. Like not even on Luukkonen. Like the whole play was bad. Players were losing their mark. Luukkonen did overcommit, but like what else was he supposed to do? Like there was a guy just kind of dragging it. If he doesn't, it's a goal before it even gets there. Like maybe if he finds a way to get tight to the post, but he was already out in his crease. Like it's not an ideal situation for him. And on top of that, like he played a good game up to that point. To have like one mistake and be like, okay, well this guy stinks. We all hate Luukkonen, right, guys? Like that's garbage. Get out of here with that. Like Luukkonen played a good game. It was a tough outcome and a tough like way to end a game. But even in that play, like the fault was not all his.
No. I mean, what are you going to do? If it even was his mistake, it's a young goaltender. I mean, his overall season has been pretty well, so I'm just going to give him the benefit of the doubt. You make mistakes, you're going to have to learn from it. And like we mentioned, this is even though I don't like falling on the excuse, it is a young team. They're still learning how to play. So there you go. You got that from me, Sam.
That was one of your main points last week that you weren't going to say that, but here you are. How a week changes things.
I mean, I have a little soft spot for UPL. I mean, he went through a terrible season last year, and he's kind of come back. So, I mean,
he honestly, like he had a fine season last year. Like the save percentage and goals against average weren't great, but that's the way that the team played, and it looks like they're shifting back to that. Like, saddle up, Luukkonen. It's about to suck again, but
it really is.
But like, if you can play that way night in, night out, like you're gonna win more games than you're gonna lose. Like the Luukkonen that we saw not last night, that night was fine. He played well. And you're gonna win more games like that than you're gonna lose again. Like it's tough last play, but he had a good game. And that's a tough team to play against too. So whatever. I hope he continues to play that well throughout the year. Again, like that's probably that league average goaltending that we were so dying for before the year started. So no complaints there.
No, I mean, my expectations were low for the Sabres this week, and they've went above that. Like you said, 3 out of 4 points, so I'm fine with that.
If we can maintain the 750 points percentage through the rest of the year, we easily make the playoffs.
There you go. So Sam, you're always looking for the positives. Good for you, man.
Listen, I mean,
I'm wearing a shirt that says positive vibes only, so you're taking that energy from me.
At some point, the team has built up enough negativity on its own. Like I gotta make my own positivity and just like hope it's worth something.
Yeah.
Because 13 years in, it is what it is at this point. We do have upcoming games though, so that's something fun. We have the dreaded Boston Bruins up next, and that's tomorrow at 7:30. We have our arch rivals, the Columbus Blue Jackets, at home after that on Saturday. Scary, right? You're terrified? Thoroughly?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm still thinking the Sabres can beat this team, so there you go.
Listen, we're definitely better than that team.
We are. Hopefully they come out and they just punch them in the throats. That's all they have to do. Just come out there, score goals like crazy, just drown them on the ice.
I'm not sure you're allowed to throat punch or drown opponents, but I'll look for that during that game. See
with goals.
I'll look for that during that game to see if that happens. And then on Sunday, we have Sunday the 31st. That's a New Year's Eve game. We've got the Senators away at the Senators.
I was going to say that's a Tucks and Pucks game usually, right?
Tucks and Pucks game. I have been to one of those. I don't remember when they are, but I don't know.
Those are
Tucks and Pucks, 31st maybe? Might be the case.
Okay.
By the way, AFC East Summit saying that you need to spend time at a Waffle House soon.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I literally have no idea, but thank you. Thank you for letting us know.
Mike, you're going to have to elaborate on that more. I need to spend more time at a Waffle House soon. What does that mean?
Maybe it's because of your negativity. I don't know.
Huh?
I literally don't know. But I feel like the comment would have had to have come in around the time we were talking about positivity. So.
All right. Mike, you're going to have to explain that more. I might have some comments back.
Anyway.
Sorry, this show's gonna go off the rails. So we're gonna start a rivalry with the AFC Summit. Then here we go.
Yeah. We just gotta start saying like weird things about the AFC East Summit.
I got some things. All right, let's go.
I heard those scoundrels love anchovies on pizza. It's a terrible choice, really.
Yeah, I mean, we'll keep going. All right. Positive vibes.
So, last week, sorry, composure. I've never heard of it. Last week we saw, during these two games, we saw them come out with compete. They showed they cared. Clearly, they're listening to our podcast. What would you like to see from us or from them this upcoming week in the 3 games that they have?
I mean, keep doing what you're doing. The Bruins, I know we beat them last time. Am I expecting that same result? No. I think you have a motivated Bruins team that's going to come in and kind of try to want to beat the lights out of the Sabres. But if you're playing the style of offense that you've been playing the past 2 games, you're going to have a good game against the Bruins because the Bruins really, they don't have the offense to really compete with like the high scoring teams. So just keep doing what you're doing with the Bruins game. I already made my statement on the Columbus Blue Jackets game. I mean, literally come out there, beat the lights out of them, put some pucks in the net, and then, score 10 on them. Hang 10 on the Blue Jackets. You can do that, especially at home. That's how you're going to get your fan base back. Hang 10 on the Blue Jackets. That's what I'm expecting out of the Sabres for that.
Yeah, we gotta win the season series, like the goal differential.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, man. The Senators, I mean, that's an interesting game, to be totally honest with you. So both teams came out with high expectations. Both have kind of been floundering. Are the Senators still behind on games right now, too?
They have 29 games. We're at 35.
That's
we
insane.
played 6 more games than them. And by the way, like, I don't think that they really can catch. Like, they've got 24 points. We got 32. They would need to win, what is that, like 4 of their 6 games, and they're not good right now. So I don't they're doing terribly, honestly.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're a bad team right now. Don't give them any reason to beat you. I think they should be able to come out with at least 4 points this week. That's what I'm expecting the Sabres to do. Come out with 4 points at least. And if you get 5 points, that's great. If you get 6 points, I mean, they're on a 3-game winning streak. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, if you get 6 points, you already beat your current winning streak for this year.
Yeah. So just keep competing. Keep playing the way that you've been playing. Sabres fans still hate Granato, Darlene. Sabres fans still hate Granato, Darlene.
Yeah, you better continue to play.
Keep playing the way that you're playing. Still play like still play like you hate the Sabres fans. All right, that's been working for you. What about you, Sam?
Yeah, I think in the spirit of the week that we just had, continue neglecting defense. That's what I want to see this week. I want to see us. It's just more fun that way, and we have more success with it. I don't see why you would go back to trying to play defense at this point. Continue to just play games where you're trying to just hang numbers on people.
Yeah.
And
Are
have
any
fun
of these
doing it.
teams offensive powerhouses that we're playing? Are the Bruins that good on offense? I know they have Pasternak.
I heard that recently the Columbus Blue Jackets hung 9 points on a scrub team. So, like,
oh well,
I think they might be really good. It's possible. But no, the the Bruins have less goals than us this year.
All right. I see why now they're telling me to go to a Waffle House. Loser in fantasy football. I just got to address something real quick, Sam. So, I mean, I don't know if there's a Waffle House up here in Maine. But let me get to it. I have a complaint about that fantasy league. First of all, it is a dynasty league, which I had no idea it was a dynasty league.
Okay.
Second, the draft happened in the middle of a weekday at 11 o'clock at night. I go to bed at like 9 p.m. Okay? I hit about like 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it's already past your bedtime.
I know, right? You see me at the end of shows sometimes, Sam, where I'm just like, what is going on right now? We got to get off the show right now because I don't know what I'm saying. So I just auto-drafted my team. I didn't select any of those players that are on my team. That is not my team. I took over another GM's team, and now I'm held responsible for it. I'm basically Kevin Adams right now. I don't know who's another good GM to take over for. My team, I don't take ownership of that team. And I don't think I think I've logged in twice this season for that fantasy football league. So whoever lost to me in that fantasy football league, I think they need to go to Waffle House. That's all I'm saying. So pass that on over to the AFC something, guys. Sorry, Sam. I had to take a break right there. I had to address something real quick.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, I also have a complaint about that league, and it's that I wasn't invited, but it is what it is, you know.
I think we need to start over again next year, get rid of the Dynasty League, because, I mean, Dynasty is just really ridiculous. All right.
Hey, how about just next time don't lose?
I didn't set that lineup. My team consisted
You had the opportunity to. You got to stay up past your bedtime for one night. It's fine. Then you get
there's no money in this league. If there was money in this league, I'd be completely fine. It was
free. there's not money, but there's Waffle House. Now you have to go to Waffle House.
I mean, I've been to a Waffle House when I was driving back home from Florida in South Carolina. Did not understand a word that the chef said to me. I just kind of pointed and I said, I want this one. And then he asked me what I wanted, I think. And I said, and then he was very confused by my response back. So it was almost like we were speaking a whole different language. That's how deep in the South I was. So, I mean, but the food was good. The food was good. Am I regular at Waffle House? No, but I'm not gonna shit on it. I mean, it's decent food.
Well, now you get to go again, you know?
I'll have to find one. I don't know if they have any. I haven't seen any up here in Maine, so I might have to make a drive somewhere.
Send pics when you do. You could do the next show from a Waffle House.
All right. No one would know what hockey is at a Waffle House, but yeah, I'll do that. Wonder if they have Wi-Fi.
Top Shelf Timmy Corks calling in from the Waffle House.
I'll just get the biggest waffle that they have. Some chocolate chip waffles, maybe, throw some flavor in there. I mean,
yeah, have some fun with it, If it's like the punishment, at least make it fun,
I was actually talking my family chat today, and my brother-in-law made his kids blueberry Eggo waffles, and I don't remember the last time I had an Eggo waffle. Actually, I do. It was back when I was in high school, so I'm 31 right now. So Jesus, 13 years ago. And I had an Eggo. My parents only bought the gluten-free waffles, and they were absolutely terrible. So I've been scarred from Eggo or any sort of toaster waffle for the rest of my life. So yeah, the Waffle House might have me. I might have a waffle again.
Why would you like is there gluten free that runs, or like is there like celiac that runs in your family, or did they
No,
just
no. My mom's friend had celiac disease, so then my mom for some reason thought, oh, gluten must be healthy, gluten free must be healthier, so she bought all these gluten free foods, and then that was a miserable time of my
Yeah,
life.
I'm so sorry about your upbringing.
Yeah, that was bad. It tasted like cardboard. Anyone that has celiacs, I'm sorry, but that food was terrible.
My sister has a good sense of humor. She has celiac as well. She has a good sense of humor about it. She's like, you know what? Even if it like tears up my stomach, sometimes I just have to get the non-gluten free bun for like a burger or whatever.
I mean, gluten has a lot of flavor. Gluten has a lot of flavor.
Something about that gluten.
Yeah.
But no, I do feel bad. It is tough. Like that's not something I'd wish on anybody.
No, not at all. So what were we talking about? Oh yeah,
probably something to do with hockey. We got through previewing next week. We got to the hour mark in the show, so like there wasn't a lot to talk about this week, honestly, with only 2 games. But
yeah.
we got through both games through next week, so there's only really one segment left, and it's who were your 3 stars from the week?
All right, so one of my stars are gonna go to Jack Quinn. Comes back in his 3rd game. He has 2 goals so far, and he's kind of like empowered that second line. So and I think it's just good to have him back. It's been pretty tough trying to pick through a lot of guys. Let's see. I didn't have this planned out beforehand. I'm sorry, Sam. As you could tell.
Yeah, I mean, this show's often impromptu, so like
I'm trying to think of what Thompson. I'm gonna give another one a start to Thompson. He's had a pretty good couple of games too as well. And you know what? What the heck? I'm gonna give another one to Skinner too. Coming back from his injury, he's kind of empowered the line too. The Maple Leafs, he had 2 goals against the Maple Leafs, right? So he keeps on going on his scoring ways.
Did he?
He did.
I mean, we had 9 goals. Like I'm sure.
Yeah. So
him and Kyle both had 2 goals, I think.
I haven't given a star to Kyle yet this year, but
yeah, honestly, it's fine.
I mean, it's hard because you had that 9-goal game, so there's so many players.
Right. There's a like it's hard to like look through a 9-goal game and be like, which 2 people specifically played very well.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, Quinn was an easy one for me just because he's back and he's already starting on offense. I mean, he kind of picked up pretty quickly.
Did you know that Alex Tuck had 4 assists during that game?
You reminded me of that too. I mean, there's a lot of guys that can get stars that I can hand it off to. I would like to give myself a star. I mean, being positive throughout this whole entire time.
You know, you deserve a very big gold star for that one. Yeah, it's hard to pick stars for this week because we only had 2 games, and the Maple Leafs game was kind of at the beginning of the week, and only 4 people didn't record a point during that game. 5 if you include Levi.
Yeah.
Like,
so there's a lot of guys you can hand stuff off to.
Yeah.
And then the Rangers game was during the Bills game. So I had a balance between the 2. This is tough. I mean, it's tough.
It's tough. Well, I'll help you out by giving you my 3 stars from the week. I also agree with you. Jack Quinn comes back from injury, doesn't have the greatest first game in Columbus or against Columbus. No one did, though. And then proceeds to get 2 goals in the subsequent 2 games. It's helpful to have him back. One of my stars is going to Jordan Greenway, also coming back from injury, has at least one of the goals. He had the first goal maybe against the Maple Leafs. And yeah, he had 1 goal against the Maple Leafs, and then he had 2 very good plays in the Rangers game that led to goals for the team. So he might have had 2 assists that game, but I thought that it really just came off like great work that he was doing kind of along the boards. And that's what you like to see from that guy. He overperformed at the beginning of the year doing skilled plays like that time he like wrapped it around a goalie. Like that was crazy and not what we should expect from him. But he's playing the way that you'd expect right now, and it is leading to points, which maybe isn't what you'd expect. But he's hard on the forecheck. He is digging pucks out of corners, and he's making honestly heads up play. Like the goal Dahlin had against the Rangers was off an amazing like play and pass from Jordan Greenway.
Yeah.
And then my third star of the game my third star of the week is kind of a cop out, but it's having 3 lines. 3 functioning lines makes a world of difference. I don't think that you end up with all the goals that we had against the Maple Leafs without just having like 3 functioning lines. It's impossible to like try and play matchups when you have a bunch of lines that can produce. And honestly, the 4th line's not even that bad. Kyle ended up getting 2 goals that game, right? Like when you can create these line mismatches, and when your 3rd line is Jordan Greenway, Casey Middlestat, and Zach Benson, like what do you do if you're the other team unless you also have a 3rd line that can match that?
Yeah.
So I think just and like having Skinner, Greenway, and Jack Quinn come back at the same time is what makes that possible. Like that's 3 people. That's a whole line that you've just added, and it makes the world of difference. And then like in the next game, Jordan Greenway is playing against maybe competition that's not as hard because they're putting Zibanejad and Panarin against your Tage Thompson line, and Jordan Greenway is able to get 2 points in that Rangers game. So I just think that having a healthy lineup, that is my star of the week. That is the best thing I could have asked for.
You gave a star to 6 guys.
I'm giving a star to all 12 of the forwards. They're there. They're all working together.
Come on now.
That's a little bit of a cop out. If you want like an actual player, I guess Alex Tuch, that 4-point performance. I don't think he's ever had 4 assists in a game before in his career, so that's a career high for him. But I am really just happy to have a lineup again that's not, we don't have to see Murray. We don't have to see Yost. We don't have to see Robinson. And more importantly, we don't have to see all of them at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a good combination to have on the ice. But speaking of goals, who had the more impressive Michigan goal? Bedard or Zegras?
I'm not sure more impressive, but the one I personally liked more was Bedard's because it was against Jordan Binnington. Yeah. Boy, does it make me happy to see him get lit up literally anytime. It's so funny. I was half expecting him to try and fight Bedard, which would have been a really funny outcome. But he didn't do that.
He was like a darling during the Stanley Cup run, and then after that, he's just become a menace on the ice.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with him, but
he's like a Garth Snow, like back in the day. If you ever watched his goalie fights on YouTube, oh my gosh, that guy, he was just a dynamite ready to go. But yeah, I'd say Bedard too. I know Zegras, everyone's talking about always talking to the in-stadium announcer or whatever before the game, she said.
Yeah.
My one Christmas present I wanted is a Michigan goal. I'm like, I don't like, and personally, I'm just not a fan of Zegras. He's kind of a little bit too cocky for me. I mean, I'll take Bedard over Zegras any day.
I think that's kind of part of the fun though. Zegras is like a prick and he knows it and he can do those skilled things and shove it in your face. And I love, even if it's one that I don't like, I love when players have personality. Even Binnington, I love to hate him. I love that he's in the league for that reason. Like when I see him get lit up like that, it's so much more enjoyable to me than if it were just like Cam Talbot or whatever.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I do like the guys with some personality, Sean Avery back in the day, but there's something about Zegras I just don't. I mean, there's something. It just kind of like, I don't know. Maybe because he just plays for the Ducks too, and he's like, dude, your team.
See, I think that's the thing, right? Like because the Ducks just entirely don't affect me. I'm like, yeah, whatever. He can be the worst. It's fine. I like seeing him do cool things. When he had that flip pass over our goaltender. And I think it was Sonny Milano put it in. Like it was the over the net pass.
Yeah.
Like that was crazy. And I only had to see it. Like I only had to interact with Anaheim fans once that year. It was great. And then I get to see Zegers highlights everywhere else, and it's not our goalie.
Yeah.
But it's fun to have people like that in the league, regardless of like whether you think he's the worst or if he's hamming it up too much, like Arizona thought last year. It just adds fun to the league, a little bit of a spark.
Yeah.
And I'm for it.
The league does need a little bit more personality, so you're right. I'll agree with that. But yeah.
Well, I think we covered all the topics we wanted to. We got the week in review. We got Waffle House, and we've discussed that next week. You're gonna be live from a Waffle House. I cannot wait to see that. By the way,
I mean, my New Year's resolution was to eat healthier, so that's gonna be starting off just great. I mean, going to a Waffle House, maybe they have some healthy options there. I don't know if I can trust a Waffle House salad, so we'll see.
But anyway, that will do it for us. Thank you for tuning in to the Sabres Edge podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and we will see you next week.
Buenos noches.